Anyway, today's speaker is Chris Grover. He is the owner of Sun Harbor Nursery. David Grover is his father, and he established the nursery years ago. Chris, thank you so much for being here.
Of course.
Chris has generously decided to donate to Yard of the Month, which is a program that we have during our meeting season, which is September through May. So thank you so much. Thank you. I love that. And today Chris is going to speak with us about lawn care, and Lagoon Friendly Lawn care, and citrus trees and growing on the side.
Cool. Okay, so my name's Chris. Obviously, we said that. My parents started Sun Harbor Nursery 50 years ago in the 70s, and we've been gardening on the beach since he was a little kid in the 60s. So we know a lot about coastal gardening. Years ago, our county put some laws in place that are really good for the lagoon. It's going to help clean the lagoon and keep less algae blooms going on. And it has to do with our lawn fertilizers. And I'm just going to go over that a little bit today. And you know, the county doesn't want us putting fertilizers in the ground, which is great. And I think that we need to keep pushing that. But we do have to keep our yards up and our maintenance up for property values and so on and so forth. So there's a little bit of keeping it up and making sure we follow the laws. So the laws state that we cannot fertilize our lawns from June till September. So October we can start fertilizing our lawns again. And the key to fertilizing your lawn is most of us have St. Augustine lawns. So I'm going to go over to the three grasses first. You'll see St. Augustine is the #1 used lawn. People have Bahia, Zoysia, and Bermuda. Now, Bahia, Zoysia, and Bermuda are beautiful grasses. They are more fun to play soccer on and golf on and play in the yard, but they do require a little bit higher maintenance on the beach side. And you'll see the golf courses maintain them, but they have different style mowers. They have different fertilizer regimens and stuff like that. So if you're going to do one of those lawns, you really want to talk to somebody first about what to do and how to maintain it. The reason why we like Floratam St. Augustine is Floratam St. Augustine was created by Texas A&M and University of Florida to grow on coastal barrier islands that are alkaline soils. So we're very alkaline. If you get your soils tested, which you can do through the county, you'll find that from Sebastian Inlet to Cocoa Beach, we're all alkaline. We're a very young island, and plants have not decomposed over the years, so we don't have any acidity in it. So you'll find acid-loving plants don't do well. So all our native plants are pretty alkaline-style plants. A lot of the stuff we bring into our yard likes a little bit more minerals. So I liken it to the palm trees we grow. A lot of them are from different parts of the world, and they use minerals that are in the ground, like volcanic rock, which we just don't have. So things like foxtail palms, you'll see the yellow, they lose a lot of color. It has to do with minerals. So we like, instead of fertilizing a lot, we like to use something called essential minor elements, which is basically all your elements in one bag. Instead of having to select manganese and magnesium and iron out, they just put it all in one bag. And we're finding that this works well on the lawn as well, because it's going to correct the deficiencies. When you get your soil tested, we're lacking magnesium, manganese, iron, and phosphorus. Well, the problem with phosphorus is that's what's messing up the lagoon. So I don't suggest putting phosphorus on any lawns, even if you get the exemption for it, if you have your soil tested. Now, having said that, phosphorus makes things bloom. Our St. Augustine does not bloom. It doesn't go to seed. So we don't need to put phosphorus on a St. Augustine lawn to begin with. And that's important because if we follow the laws, we're using a nitrogen, zero phosphorus, potash. So like a 1608 is a great number. Here's the example of what the county wants us to use, okay? 50% slow release, which is typically has a polymer coating on it. So it's hard to get an organic fertilizer that meets the law standard because the polymer coating keeps it a slow release, like a pill. They changed the number a little bit. The one I use is a 1608, but they recommend a 2904. But zero phosphorus is key. And then June through September, we're not going to use it. Never fertilize before a hard rain, and 10 to 20 feet off the canal is important. The other thing we recommend is mow your lawn on the highest setting you can. If you have somebody who mows it, have them set the mower as high as they can. When we scalp the lawn, we end up with fungus problems here because of our high humidity. So the key to controlling fungus is not overwatering and sharpening your mower blade and raising the height of your mower. And that makes a big difference in a lawn. Fungus is one of our #1 problems in the lawn. A lot of times we'll think a dead area won't grow, and for years it won't grow. You'll resod it, it won't grow. It's typically a fungus in the ground, and it's typically from overwatering. And once the fungus is in there, it's hard to get rid of. So recently we found a product. In the past we would have used a composted cow, a chicken manure, or something like that. But a couple guys from University of Florida came up with a product called Command. We've been using this on fungus spots. This is all but wiped out us from having to use fungicides, which are heavy chemicals. So this is a product that's a lot like a topsoil, but it's sterilized. So there's no weed, seed, or bug in it. And if you put a light layer of that in the fungus areas, we found really productive growth without having to use heavy chemicals. And this product's been great. So I highly recommend fighting fungus spots with this and not using topsoil, because topsoil is going to have weed, seed in it, and bugs, and can create more problems down the line for you. And so then we'll get into weed killing. Weed killing, if we, my thing is that whatever you're doing isn't broken, don't fix it. So if you're doing a good job and you're right on track, just keep doing what you're doing. But if you get an outbreak of weeds and stuff like that, the time to deal with it's in October. It's too hot in the summer. The products that we use are called selective herbicides. So they select the weed out of the St. Augustine, so you don't kill your grass. And if we do that in the summer, we burn our lawn. If we do it in the winter, it won't work. So there's a timing on that. And it's nice to be one and done. So if you can find a product that takes them all out in one shot, then you're not having to keep adding chemicals to the lawn. You can also prevent weeds by using a pre-emergent. Up north, they use preen. In Florida, we use Dimension. It goes after more tropical weeds like Bermuda grass and torpedo grass, which everybody's dealing with right now, growing up through their shrubs. If you put that down, you can put it in your mulch beds, and it'll keep weeds from growing in sections like that. We are finding really good results with this organic weed killer. So we haven't used Roundup in 15 years, 20 years on our property at Sun Harbor because it's just not a great chemical. There's all sorts of problems with it. And when I graduated college from Colorado State University in horticulture, the lawsuits were coming in. And that's when Roundup really, we don't like to recommend it, we don't sell it, and you can avoid it at all costs. Do it. Now, having said that, a lot of people have been using vinegar and salt as a weed killer, which is great. It works great. It's available. Use 30% organic with a little bit of salt, and it will kill them, especially when the heat's high like this. Get a lot of sun. But it can get kind of expensive as you try to use it. You have to use it straight, so there's no diluting it. So it's like very spot treating. So this company started using the defunct citrus industry. So unfortunately, our state is losing our citrus trees, and a lot of the trees are growing from the grafts. So we end up with sour oranges, which don't taste good unless you add a pound of sugar to them. So they make concentrate out of them. They also use them in the pharmaceutical and chemical industry, and they found that it is one of the best weed killers out there. And so I've been using this, and it smells great. It smells like citrus. And you can see where you're painting it on, and this kills the weeds faster than Roundup ever did. I'm killing all my grasses with it. Everything that this hits, it'll kill. And it does a good job deterring bugs, because bugs don't like the smell of citrus. So I found that when I do that, the gnats and stuff like that are off the property. But we really see good results with this product. You can get it in a concentrate where you can make up to like 6 to 10 gallons of it, and that's where it starts getting way better cost effective than buying vinegar. Plus, it's not messing up the soil that you're spraying it on. It's adding acidity to it, which isn't bad, but the vinegar can sweeten your soil.
Where is it manufactured at, Chris?
So this right now is manufactured in California. A company just bought it, but they're taking all the sour oranges and making the product out of it. It's OMRI certified, and it's been a really great product. I've definitely had really high results between pavers and stuff like that. There is another organic product that's working really well. It's called fatty acids of soaps, and it's just a really strong soap with a lot of salt in it. We sell that as well. It's a little more expensive in the concentrate, but a little cheaper in the ready to use. But that stuff works great, and they're both OMRI certified organic. They're working faster than the old products, and they're safe to use. So I would start looking into cost-effective weed killing. And going into the lawns, there's a couple alternatives to St. Augustine grass. Yes?
Excuse me, what's the name of that?
That's called Avenger weed killer.
What is it?
Avenger. Avenger. And we found this at a convention like 2 or 3 years ago, so it's pretty new to the market. The company started in Florida and then just got bought by somebody in California. That's all I know on that end. Yeah.
Chris, is that good for torpedo grass?
It's working on torpedo grass. The problem with torpedo grass is that rhizome doesn't die in the ground, so you'll kill all the green up top, and then you got that runner underground, and it's just popping up. The other problem with it, the torpedo grass, if we don't get it at the right time, it seeds itself too. So you have the 1-2 punch, and it usually comes at a certain time of the year. For torpedo grass, especially in shrubs, like I'm dealing in the front of the nursery has a lot right now growing up through the shrub. We use a product called Over the Top, and that product you can spray over the top of your broadleaf weeds, and it'll kill the narrow leaves, so it'll kill the grasses. And that's the only thing I've been able to get to select that out, or I just pay a landscape crew to dive in there and dig it all out, and then next spring it comes back and I'll spray. So it's almost a never-ending cycle with torpedo. If you get started with torpedo grass, that's a taller grass, and if you get started with that, you want to get rid of it immediately because it'll wreak havoc for years. Because it's like a vine, like St. Augustine, and it reseeds, so it just keeps perpetuating. But having said that, the problem with this is anything this touches is going to kill, so we couldn't spray it over the top. But if you had a torpedo patch in the lawn, you can definitely hit it. There are a few selective organic herbicides that use a high iron. The problem we're having with that is it doesn't work on St. Augustine. So we've tried it, and it still burns the St. Augustine, where it would work on a Kentucky bluegrass lawn or something like that. So the other problem we're having is the iron is orange and it stains the lawn and stains things. So people have been iffy about that. We have tried corn gluten as a pre-emergent, which is organic, and it does work. The big hitter that we've had with corn gluten is whenever I have it stored or whenever I put it on the lawn here, the next day it'll come out and there'll be a lot of squirrels out there. There'll be a lot of moles, a lot of, rats and mice and stuff like that. So I have a hard time storing it because they get in there and chew it up like feed. So if you're going to use it, get a bag of it, use it. It does work. It's not going to work as well on things like torpedo grass and stuff, but it is a good pre-emergent for other weeds. And then so there are alternatives to the St. Augustine lawn. One of them is called EcoTurf. It's perennial peanut. And a couple years ago, I went to Disney, and out of the Wilderness Lodge, they had taken all their St. Augustine out and used perennial peanut, and they got it in rolls of sod, just like we would, but it was a big roll, and they rolled it out, and it was gorgeous. You could walk on it, but it still needed to be irrigated, and it is one of those things. If you're going to convert your lawn to a EcoTurf or the other one is Sunshine Mimosa, you still need to keep the irrigation in there, and you need to get it established. Once established, you can pull the irrigation, start cutting it out, and then you can have a. But I'm a big proponent of try a few in an area, make sure it's working, and then you can start committing to areas of your lawn, because I've seen people take their whole lawn out on Merritt Island, put it in, have mixed results in areas, and it brings curb appeal away. But over time we found stuff to fill it in, like you could use dune daisies and things like that are really hardy, but you can't walk on them. So the two that we can walk on are perennial peanut. It's got a little yellow flower. It's a great nitrogen fixer for the ground. And the other one's sunshine mimosa. Sunshine mimosa is that sensitive plant. If you touch it, they curl up. Remember on a surf trip to Costa Rica, I was going to a waterfall, and we walked up this big mountainside, and everywhere we walked, our footprints showed. So we looked back down, and our footprints were all the way down the mountain. It was really cool. And that whole mountainside was sunshine mimosa. So it can take over like a turf can, but you got to get it established. You got to get it going and run it, and it should do well for you. Sunshine mimosa.